Fourth graders, today we're doing Module 3, Lesson 35. And in fact, this week we're going to do Lessons 35, 36, 37, and 38. And then that will be the end of Module 3, so you're going to have your Module 3 test on Friday. Okay? And today what we're going to do is we're going to continue working with multiplication. You'll remember for a long time we were doing division, right? Division with place value charts, the standard algorithm. And then on Thursday of last week, we switched back over to talk about multiplication. And we talked about multiplication using an area model, the number bond, and basically which was the distributive property and the associative property. Remember that? Today we're going to continue to think more deeply and look more deeply at how we can use an area model to multiply two-digit numbers. Okay? But first let's talk about our problem of the day. Now that we've done 30 times 25 using a place value chart, let's see how we can use an area model to represent that expression. Okay? Then we're going to record the partial products and then we're going to solve it all together. So we know that when I find the area of a rectangle, I'm multiplying the length times the width, right? So if I draw a rectangle where the length is 30 and the width is 25, that area would be the product of 30 times 25. Do you guys agree? But to make it easier, I can separate 25 into two parts. I can say that it's 20 plus 5. So instead of thinking about one big rectangle, I could think about two smaller rectangles. Do you guys agree? Nice. So how can I find the area of this first smaller rectangle? I can do the length times the width, or 30 times 20. So inside the area model, write 30 times 20. That's the same as 3 tens times 2 tens, right? So what's 3 times 2? 6. What's 10 times 10? So what's 3 tens times 2 tens? 600. Good. So inside right. And let's record the partial product. The first partial product is 600. Now, how do I find the area of this rectangle? I can do the length times the width. What's the length going up and down? Everyone? What's the length of that rectangle? 30. What's the width? 5. So what's 3 tens times 5? 15 tens, or 150. So let's record the partial product. Now in order to find the area of the entire rectangle, I have to add up the two areas, right? So I have to add up my partial products. What's 600 plus 150? 750. So using an area model, did we get the same answer, 750, as what we got using the place value chart? We did. Let's try another example. It says to find the product of 60 and 34 using an area model. Then record the partial products to solve. So if I'm drawing an area model, I know that I have to find the area of 60 and 34. Right? But to make it easier, instead of doing 34, I could split it into two different parts, right? I could have one part that's 30. Do you guys agree? And what would the next part be? Now how many rectangles do I have altogether? 2. How many partial products will I have then? 2. Let's set up our multiplication equation so that we can record the partial products. 60 times 34. Okay, my first part is going to be this part right here. How can I find the area of that smaller rectangle? I can multiply the length times the width of that one, which would be 60 times, let's write that inside the box, 60 times 30. That's the same as 6 tens times 3 tens. Do you guys agree? So what's 6 times 3? 18. What's 10 times 10? 100. So what's 6 tens times 3 tens? 18 hundreds. What is 18 hundreds? Well, I can know that by writing the number 18, and I think, okay, I want the 8, the rightmost digit, to be in the hundreds place. If I put 10, right now the 8 is in the tens. Is that what we want? We want it to be in the hundreds, so let me add another 0. Now is it in the hundreds? So that's 18 hundreds. Very good. Let's record the first partial product, 1800, or 1800. How can I find the area of this next rectangle? Haruto?
60 times 4.
Very good. Is that the same as 6 tens times 4? Or 6 tens times 4 ones? So what's 6 times 4? 24. What's 10 times 1? So what's 6 tens times 4 ones? 24 tens. Good. Or 240. Let's record the partial product, 240. Okay, now remember, which one is our final answer? Well, we're actually trying to find the area of the entire thing, which is 60 times 34, right? Do you guys agree? So in order to do that, we have to add up the two smaller areas. So we have to do 1,800 plus 240, which is 2,040. Now, how could I use inverse operations to check this? If I know that the total area is 2,040, how could I use what I know about inverse operations to check my work? Go ahead and talk at your table groups.